Well, what happened yesterday on my farm is unforgivable, but I am not going to reciprocate and start a feud. I'm pretty angry about it, but I gotta move on. And you know what? Those Henchman Boys, Skeeter and Scooter, the way that they are, I had to park because I had to do some text messages. You never want to text and drive, but I'm at the destination now. I'm doing more delivery jobs, and I know that if I keep doing these, the boss stays happy, and the Henchman Boys stay out of my way. But here's the thing. This is how I'm going to handle these Henchman Boys. I'm going to just let them destroy their own selves based on the actions of the type of people they are. In other words, let's turn this volume down. That's atrociously high, even at 30%. The Henchman Boys are so nefarious in their ways, and they'd rather look for trouble, cause feuds, rather than pay attention to what's going on around them. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that they're messing with. There's something that tells me I'm not the only one. So eventually, this is my theory, that the way that they behave, the way they're always looking for trouble around town, when they're not working for their boss, when they're off the time clock, it seems that's when they strike. And if they're off the time clock while I'm working, they're not going to bother me. What I don't like is them thinking that they could continue to mess with my property. And I know it's really tough for me to not retaliate or do something back. That's just going to make things worse, and I'm not going to let the boss know, because I don't believe the boss is putting them up to this. Because as long as I keep the boss happy, which I have been with all of my deliveries so far, I've done quite well. As you can see here, we have more suitcases, but this time they're going to a different location. This could be just somebody moving, because there's only 2 pallets here. I'm tired of guessing what's in suitcases. It's starting to drive me crazy. I'm just starting to live with it. As long as I get paid to not ask questions and do deliveries from point A to point B, and just concentrate on my farm, I think things will work out for me in the long run. Now, as far as a meeting with the boss, yes, I would like to arrange that, to maybe discuss about these Henchman Boys and let him know that what they're doing I don't appreciate. And as far as I know, he doesn't really... Whoa, almost lost them both there. There's so many unanswered questions. Still, those Henchman Boys have really got me worried. You know, I'm allowed to be a little upset, but I'm not going to get a feud going over some trampled crops. That's not good enough. So let's just put this up here. That's some things I wanted to cover to let people know what is my response going to be to what happened. It happened a few days ago. Episode 9. So I'm just going to carry on, do my business, my transportation business, as normal as I can keep it, without, you know, causing any more waves. I've caused enough trouble for myself, and I don't need to bring any more trouble upon me. That's just not going to be cool. Uh-oh. Whoops. Do you see up ahead there? Oh my, they just never seem to want to leave me alone. It's those Henchman Boys. You see them? I see them very clearly. Well, that confirms my suspicions that as long as I'm doing these delivery jobs for the boss, in this case, this one is definitely for the boss, I think. Nothing would surprise me right now. That they won't mess with me. Because they are employed by the boss. You all know the deal from watching the previous episodes, but for those that are not caught up, I am the delivery guy, the go-to guy, so to speak, for the town of Ravenport. And inadvertently, I got myself mixed up in a kind of a interesting secret that I never knew was going on in Ravenport. Apparently there's this entity, ghost, I don't know if it's what it is, but it appears out of nowhere sometimes when it wants to, when it's called the boss, who apparently oversees deliveries, and these deliveries are very suspicious. There's been way too many deliveries with suitcases, and it got to the point where there was pallets upon pallets upon pallets of suitcases going to the ranch from the dairy farm of all places. Made no sense. So I did a little research, found out from the spring rains not being that plentiful this year, current year that I'm playing, there was less cattle production, I believe, of newborn calves is what I meant, because there was just no rain, no grass to grow. The cows had less births, they produced less milk. Some cattle just never was able to make it through the pregnancy, and you know the deal. I don't need to get into specifics, but there was less cows born, which explained a very low milk supply delivery that only one I saw go to the construction site. That makes sense. The construction site would probably need milk to maintain their hydration for whatever reason, or put it in their cereal. I hope I'm going the right way. I've been talking. Now the destination, yes, is to the right. So then, next, I concluded that it is obviously not somebody moving that many suitcases. There is extortion going on in the town of Ravenport from the boss. I don't know his real name, but they call him the boss. His two henchmen are Skeeter Scooter and Scooter Skeeter, who will also go rogue and do things that the boss doesn't know about, and that includes trampling crops. Not nice at all. Not nice at all. And they picked me to pick on, but I did deserve it. In one of my previous, when I was just first starting out for doing deliveries, I was still naive to what the situation was going on. I'd explored the ranch, and for lack of a better word, or to get to bottom line without sugarcoating it, I pilfered a watering can from the ranch, took it back to my farm, and decided to keep it. I didn't think nothing of it. A few weeks later, I got a visit from, at the time I didn't know who it was, until they started yelling and blurting out that the boss told them to go. So that was an ordered job by the bosses. I'm not the bosses, by the boss. They gave it away when they spoke. They're not the smartest henchmen. So what they did is they said, go, go, go. The boss said go, and then before I could get close enough to introduce myself, they trampled my crops, ran them over, did some damage. And then I looked, and the watering can was gone. So obviously they took it back. And because of that, I felt really bad. I didn't do anything about what they did. I said, okay, yes, I deserve that. Sorry. I didn't actually apologize to them because I haven't really been able to get close to them enough yet. They're always in that truck causing mischief. They never want to talk face to face. They're kind of cowardice. but I was also kind of cowardice for taking that. Anyways, that watering can. So now they struck again, and I'm still haven't taken the bait. I am not going to start a feud with them. And you heard the conversation. We just saw them in town. They want to keep starting feuds. Or they want to attempt to keep reciprocating a feud back and forth, and become like an actual feud. It never ends. Let's check to see if that watering can was put back in its place, if you don't mind. So I am not going to reciprocate. They've tried 2 times now. The first time I deserved it. The second time I believe I may have deserved it too. Because the ancient proverb says, in so many words or less, that the punishment is always worse than the offense. In which case, it has proven. That ancient proverb has proven itself. So they've done it twice now. And I can kind of read their minds that that's what they want to do. They want to start a feud. That's just because of their behavior, the way they talk to each other, the way they've been following me around. There it is. So the watering can is back to where it was supposed to be. This is where I took it from. I thought it looked neat. I didn't think they would care, but they obviously did. And if I ever get a chance to see the boss again, which is hard to make, it's hard to get a meeting with him. I'm thinking maybe I should go talk with Peter Wood. Not today. Give it a good month to calm down, for things to calm down. I'll go talk to Peter Wood, and maybe I can find some things out about these Henchman Boys, I call them now. About maybe a little bit more about the boss. Peter Wood already told me that the 2 of them grew up together in town, and that Peter helps with the finances. Oh yes, he helps with the finances of the dairy farm. He kind of said in so many words or less that he didn't want to give up too information, but I have figured it out from my investigation from these past few months, being here in the town of Ravenport, that Peter Wood is fronting money for the dairy farm to keep on paying the extortion costs that the boss is putting upon the businesses of Ravenport. That's not good. But I'm just one guy. What am I going to do about it? The boss is definitely, without a doubt, because I've done enough investigation, Peter Wood gave me a lot of information, more than I thought he would, which was nice, very nice of him. He trusts me. He knows the boss. He grew up with him. The boss pretty much stays out of his way. Peter helps with the finances because Peter's a rich man. He used to own Field 8, which is up right there, you can see. But since then he sold the land. It's now been turned into all farm field again. He used to have cattle, he had animals, he had the whole 9 yards. And now he's just got the bed and breakfast next to his house, so he's a rich man. So he puts up, he's helping the dairy farm, I think. By giving them the money to keep up the protection money and the extortion money, so they don't get roughed up by the boss and the henchmen, the Henchman Boys. That's my theory, that Peter Wood is actually giving his own money up to keep the dairy farm from going under, first of all, and to keep the boss away from the dairy farm. I need to find out who works at the dairy farm. I don't know yet. Who's the owner of the dairy farm? I don't know. I don't even know if the dairy farm is a legitimate business, to tell you the truth. I don't even think anybody works there at all. But that's remained to be seen. So Peter Wood knows a lot of things about this town. He's been here all his life. He grew up with the boss. They seem to maybe have gone to school together, it seems. But the 2 of them are like Jekyll and Hyde. So that's what I've discovered. The boss, out of the goodness, not the boss, Peter Wood, out of the goodness of his heart, with his bed and breakfast and his very wealthy retirement account from selling Field 8, he's got the finances to keep things afloat, to keep people quiet. I mean, to keep people happy, keep the boss happy, and to keep the tranquility of Ravenport sustainable, so that the status quo doesn't get terrible, and then all heck will break loose. And now I'm directly involved in the middle of that, And Peter Wood knew. Peter Wood knows because he knew from looking at the ledger. He's a smart man. He works at the water tower. He had ordered a water tower delivery, but at the time it was crates. So it seemed like a legitimate at the time. It most likely was. But I've seen fake milk from the water tower, for example. I've seen extortion money even from the coffee house. Suitcases full of cash. I've seen suitcases full of cash at the cement factory, too. That's what's going on. And to recap, what am I going to do about what the... let me look at the drone's point of view to let you all know, again, to remind you what happened. Here's my drone. I'm not going to retaliate against this. I'm going to let the Henchman Boys destroy them own selves based on their actions. I know I'm not the only one that they're messing with in town. They're bullies. So that's how I'm going to handle them. I believe that's all the characters right now that are in the world of Ravenport that I have talked to that are helping me understand what's going on in the town of Ravenport. And Peter Wood lives over there right by the water tower here. Just to show everybody here, this is Peter Wood's bed and breakfast right here. This big nice area. This is the water tower building, which Peter apparently oversees. He is now retired and he oversees the maintenance of the water tower. That is a fact. Yes, so that's what's going on. Here's the construction site that seems to be legitimate. I don't think the boss, from what I've seen, this is total. The boss is not really directly related to this construction. He's more into extorting the businesses of Ravenport itself, which is not good. That's pure not. I don't know if it's pure evil, but it's definitely not good for the community. Here's the coffee house that he extorts. The boss. Coffee shop. I saw suitcases here. By the way, it is a video that I will publish later. You can all see it. And I talk more about the extortion, and the coffee house business actually was proof solid that finally brought it all together about way too many suitcases. People aren't moving around town and I'm helping them move. No, this is suitcases full of cash. I'm pretty sure, or gold bars. And I've also discovered fake milk. Containers of milk. Let me explain. Containers of milk that you think are milk, that look like they should have milk inside of them, but I don't believe they are, because they're being shoved around town. For example, from the water tower, they wanted me to take 5 pallets of milk crates, which were right here, which was ordered by Dennis Jenkins, this time not Peter Wood. So Peter Wood seems to be, he's not involved. He's not involved. He's an old man, just wants to be left alone, and he's trying to help out to keep the status quo stable. Obviously, the boss has a really tough hold on this town, a grip on the town's esophagus, if you want to say metaphorically, like the town's esophagus is being choked. Its throat is being choked by the boss for extortion money. Especially, and I believe the dairy is the front. The dairy is not a legitimate dairy. There's no cows, for example. I don't hear any cows. I haven't heard any cows yet. The only cows that I would be hearing would be my own, and I don't have any yet. That's another thing to consider, and really solidifies my theory almost as I'm right. I believe I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so that's what's going on. This has been a very informative episode, I hope, and gets everybody caught up, even for those that have not watched the previous episodes yet. It gives you kind of a tutorial of what's actually going on. If tutorial is not really the right word for it, but I think you can understand what I meant. There's my house, but that's going to cover this video. I don't really need to talk anything more, Because if anything more to talk about wouldn't really be upgrading the storyline from this point. So that's going to call it a day. The ranch, we all know where that is. If I have any more updates, I will let you all know. Thanks. Like and subscribe.